Welcome to the SportsFit Mum podcast, the place for expert knowledge and advice for your pregnancy and post-baby health and fitness journey. If we haven't met before, I'm Marnie, mum of two, health and fitness coach, international athlete and founder of the SportsFit Mum community. Join us each and every week for lots of motivation and inspirational stories for you, the sport-playing, exercising, loving mum or mum. To another episode of the SportsFit Mums podcast. Today I'm with Dr. Shubi and we are talking all about mindful pregnancy. But before I introduce her, I would love you to pop over to Instagram and follow her at the Doctor Who Coaches. Her reels are absolutely fantastic. They are worth a save and I love scrolling and getting onto her account and I learn something every time. So pop on over to her Instagram. It's at the Doctor Who Coaches. So Dr. Shubi is an ER doctor. She's the first person you see when you enter the emergency doors at the hospital. After her medical school, she did a master's in emergency trauma at George Washington University. She also has a fellowship in mental health disease. But after her own pregnancy and motherhood journey, she made the transition into becoming a mindful pregnancy, postpartum coach and a mentor. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Shubi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mani. It was a beautiful introduction.
I practiced it a few times. Right, everybody. We are going to talk about mindful pregnancy because I don't know about you, but I don't believe it's spoken about very much. I think that we as a society only see positive things about pregnancy a lot of the time. And to give you some context, I met Dr. Shubi in a pregnancy support group in the UK where she was giving loads and loads of value, but there actually wasn't many people in the group taking advantage of this. So I wanted to jump and get her on the podcast because I absolutely love her mission and I love the idea of educating around mindful pregnancy. So Dr. Shubi, let's start with, what is your mission?
Yeah. So, I realized while I was working as a doctor, I always used to see pregnant ladies, but then I used to be there for them. I used to counsel them, but then I used to work like a doctor, My treatment used to involve like maybe prescribing them medications and a bit of counseling. But when I myself became a mother, so during my own pregnancy for the entire 9 months, I was working in an emergency department as a head. So I used to be there for like, my shifts used to go from 8 hours, sometimes 12 hours. At that point of time, I somehow realized that I was struggling with my emotional health, my own mental health. I was working, I was busy, I was active. I knew what, the pregnancy is in terms of physiology, in terms of medicine. But I myself discovered the pregnancy in terms of mental, social, and emotional health. And that's when I realized that this is something which needs to be there out for everybody. If me being a doctor, I thought of having something like that during my own pregnancy, I felt that a lot of women out there, this is something every woman needs to have during her pregnancy. So that made me get to my mission, which is that I empower the pregnant ladies to go through their pregnancy in a very happy, healthy, and a mindful manner, where they're equipped with the resources, where they don't need to struggle with their emotions, with their mental health. They know that if they're having some struggles mentally, emotionally, they have resources and methods, and they can overpower that confidently.
I absolutely love that. And there's so many pregnancy apps out there that tell you the size of the baby and the development of the baby and, how you're going to feel physically, like your breasts are getting bigger, your clothes might be feeling tighter. They're all in an app, but I haven't seen that much support around how are you emotionally? What emotional and mental health triggers do you need to be aware of? There's just not enough information out there. And it's a huge process because from a medical perspective, the hormone changes, right? That have those massive effects. But why is there not enough support out there? And why are people not talking about the importance of your mental health in pregnancy, but just being really mindful of how you are mentally and physically and emotionally feeling?
Because I feel, all these topics, sometimes, talking about your mental health is like a taboo, If I see not everybody is open to it, people don't consider the brain and the emotions like it's like getting flu. When we are sick, when we have fever, we have sore throat, we have cough, and we consider it, we need to go and seek an expert advice. We need to go to a doctor. But when we are drained emotionally, when we are feeling that burnout, in what we are doing, maybe during pregnancy, when we are not able to cater our own emotions, we don't find it like, a priority to go and seek advice from a doctor or an expert. I think we don't value our brains, our mental health, and our emotions enough. It's high time that we start valuing it, because brain is equally a part of the body, and I would say brain is the most important part of the body.
Yeah. And 100%. I know there is a slight change in terms of, society becoming more aware and accepting us humans and our mental health. I know that, and that is a good stepping stone. But what needs to change specifically within the pregnancy and postpartum world for women to be able to have a more mindful pregnancy?
So I feel that, the main thing, the priority, the main first, the foundation is that one needs to be open and accept. We need to be, as a female, as a woman, we need to accept that this pregnancy is going to bring a change in our lives, be it the first pregnancy, second, third, or whichever pregnancy, because our body is going to go through a lot of change in these 9 months. There'll be a lot of changes we're going to experience mentally, emotionally, and physically too, in our lives too. Because now, earlier, if somebody's a mother for the first time, she was on her own. All the time she had, that was devoted to her own things. But now the things would change. There will be a degree, a 360-degree change in her life. So the priority goes to the fact that she needs to be accepting this very fact. When we accept things, it becomes easy for us to understand. So I would say the first thing is acceptance. The second thing is that we need to be ready to invest in our knowledge. We need to be ready to invest in our pregnancy education and to know the things. And then again, I don't think that internet is a good thing. Internet is a good place to go, because if somebody goes and Google one thing, she might end up finding not the right answer for that very question, but she might end up finding, 50 different problems, I would say. That would make her even more confused. So I think credible sources and credible people do matter. And it's very important to go and talk to and go and seek advice from somebody who's credible and where you can trust that person. So everything, even the credibility would comes with the level of trust. So I think it's very, very important. I think that a support person, one should have a support person. You may find that support in your partner, in your husband, in your mother, friend, mother-in-law. So where you can just go to that support person and, maybe tell him or her that I'm not feeling comfortable, I need to talk. And that support person, you should be, you should come from a very non-judgmental place. He or she should not be judging you. And of course, the level of trust should be there. And that support person can even be your mentor or maybe a coach. I think it matters. Acceptance, support person, and the credible sources of information.
Okay, let's debunk these a little bit more, because they're three amazing bits of advice around how to be mindful in your pregnancy. But let's debunk the first one and go a little bit deeper. So we need to accept and be mentally prepared for the changes in pregnancy. Now, this is actually, for a lot of us, me included, was actually really hard to do. I personally, a part of me loves the bit of attention that I get when I'm seen as superwoman. Oh, Marnie's still going to work, still traveling. Marnie's still playing, Marnie's still exercising. A part of me wants to hold on to that, like hold on to my identity of what I used to do. And then another part of me wants to get that recognition of, oh, wow, you're growing a baby. Wow, how are you feeling? What have you experienced? And it's really important that when you get asked those questions that you actually stop and think and go, actually, yeah, how am I feeling today? And the way your body changes over that 9 months is phenomenal. But I'll put my hand up and say, I don't think I stopped many times during my pregnancy to really, reflect on how I was feeling, congratulate myself, but also, be compassionate and say it's okay. I had the mentality of, I've just got to keep going at work, keep exercising, keep doing what I can until I physically can't anymore. And it was nothing to do with me emotionally. And I bet there is a lot of mums out there, or mums to be out there, that are exactly the same. So how can we be really mindful?
Yeah, so I think it's a great question. And when I said that we need to be mindful and we need to have that level of acceptance, that doesn't come easy. It's not like that we'll think about it and we'll jump into that particular avatar. So that won't come. But that comes with time. I feel the moment, I always say that we should invest in a pregnancy which is a conscious pregnancy. We should be knowing the fact that we are pregnant, and the baby in our womb, it's a tiny human being is there. And also right now there is a soul who is right in your body, so we should be very, very open. We should be open to that very change, and that acceptance, yes, that comes with a level of time, that comes with maybe a few efforts we have to make. So I always tell my clients, I always tell the people, or maybe the patients who I see who are pregnant, I always tell them to be grateful. Get up. The moment you get up out of your bed, just be there in a bed for like maybe 5 minutes. Don't get up all at once, because obviously the nausea, vomiting might, in your bed. And be grateful of the fact that you are raising that tiny human in your womb, in your body. Not every woman gets a chance to do that. Trust me. When I say you should feel empowered, you should feel blessed, because nature has given you this power when you're creating a human being. How amazing and how powerful is that? So just get up, just be there, and just be in a silence. Just visualize that beauty. Just visualize that grace and strength and power you have inside you. You're raising a soul and you're raising a human being. One thing, in India, we call it Garbh Sanskar. Garbh means womb, Sanskar means virtue. So we believe, it's an ancient tradition. In fact, the science, I'll just talk about the scientific version in a minute. They're the ancient traditions, and that's been written in a lot of our scriptures in India. It's written that when a lady connects to the baby in the womb, she can shape the entire personality of a child in those 9 months.
Wow.
Mother power to shape the personality of the baby. If she is into a zone of conscious pregnancy, if she wants, she can add all the virtue, all the quotients, intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, mental quotient, all of that can be shaped right in the womb. So I always tell my patients, my clients, to connect to your baby right in the womb. Talk to your baby. Read books to your baby, notice the movements. And even the researchers say that there are a lot of scientific evidence on this particular thing, that if a mother is connected to the baby, right, if mother is talking to the baby, if the mother is reading to the baby, or maybe singing songs to the baby, it goes a long way in terms of the personality of a child, how he or she is living his or her own life. It all depends on those 9 months. Even the brain formation, 75% almost of the brain gets formed inside the womb in those 9 months. And the remaining part, what we do is we just kind of, we call it synapse. So connections to neurons. Neurons are the basic units of brain. So the connection is something which we maintain when a child grows up and follows on. But the construction, the basic level of the brain is all done, that's formed in the womb. So it becomes easy for a mother to connect to the baby, and as a way of accepting this pregnancy, it's going to benefit the mother, of course, in the level of her pregnancy journey, and it has a great impact on the baby. So
amazing. I mean, you're very aware of that. I think, as when you're pregnant, you do get told that and you do read that, but I don't think we really appreciate actually the massive benefit it has for both of us, right? The growing baby and yourself. That is phenomenal. It is quite hard, though, to be grateful when you are physically feeling terrible and you're emotionally getting stressed by very simple things. And I think no one pregnancy is the same either. My first and second were completely different. I would say I was definitely more mindful in my first and not my second. But it is really hard. We have to appreciate, I think, although we're here saying, sit there and be grateful and really connect to your baby. And that's 100% what we need to do. But we also need to feel it's okay to express that we aren't physically or maybe emotionally struggling a little bit as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, you know what, the emotional struggle, the mood swings, maybe a little bit not being able to connect to the baby, a huge part of it goes to our hormones, the progesterone. Progesterone is a beautiful hormone. Why beautiful? Why very, very important? Because progesterone is one of the biggest hormone which is responsible for the baby's growth. Your baby is growing because you have a certain level of progesterone, because of which your baby's organs are forming, because of which baby's systems are forming. It's very, very important. But at the same time, progesterone is a very notorious hormone. Why? Because it's the progesterone which is responsible for the mood swings. Because in a normal body, like in a female's body, when the person is not pregnant, she has a level of progesterone which is this much. Now, when she's pregnant, this progesterone level goes to this much. So imagine the kind of tumult and the kind of mood swings and the kind of, okay, sometimes she's very happy, sometimes she's very sad. So we need to understand that this progesterone is making us suffer and go through mood swings. But having said that, if a mother knows that this progesterone is something which is letting her baby grow and so beautifully, so perfectly. So do you realize how different, how it's going to be, how different as an approach to a mother? Now she's going to take her mood swings, take her nausea, vomiting in a very different zone from her own mind. She would realize that, no, okay, do I have nausea? Am I feeling little, uneasy? It's okay, but my baby is growing because of this hormone. I can handle it. So I think it's the mental shift we need to make. And this comes with education. This comes with the right information. Science, yes, but also we need to have some gentle approaches to the science attached to it. That's what I called it, as a mindful approach and a mindful pregnancy.
Yeah, I love that. And I remember seeing on your Instagram, you did a reel about, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but it was about mood swings and what you can do to help your mood swings. Was that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So give us a little bit of a insight into that, if you can.
Of course. Why not? So as I already told you, the cause of mood swings is a progesterone. So what can we do to, tackle mood swings? So number one thing is that acceptance. We need to realize that it's okay. Accept the fact that mood swings are there, but so is our baby growing perfectly. So accept it. The second thing is that be close to nature. Go out for a walk, or maybe, sit in the sun, vitamin D. Again, there's a scientific research which says that a person who has a low level of vitamin D suffers from fatigue, suffers from mood swings, suffers from anxiety, and there are a lot of things which are connected to it. So just be close to the nature, enjoy that, and have a me time. Sit there, sit with yourself, maybe journal about your thoughts, maybe scribe on a piece of paper, write about your thoughts. That's again a great tool, a great method for your mood swings, your zone of happiness, or maybe a zone of sadness. And then again comes the right support person. Talk it out. Don't suppress your feelings. If you're feeling anything, when you suppress it, it's going to spurt out sometime. 100% it's going to spurt out. So always talk out, always, but then again, you need to be very, very sure who you are speaking to. Because if you're talking to somebody who is coming from a judgmental point of view, that might add to all of those, negative
members like that sometimes, isn't there? Like, oh, I didn't have that in my pregnancy, or you've just got to keep going. You hear it a lot, right? Or I always got really tired of hearing, I think you should slow down. I think you shouldn't exercise. I was always very annoyed about that advice, because for my mental health, exercising and moving my body, improved my hormone balance for sure, reduced my cortisol levels, my stress.
Yes. So that's, again, as I said, credible sources matter, because if you're going to a credible source, a person who has been through that and been through the mothering journey, and plus has researches, plus has a lot of experience about what he or she is doing, it matters. Then the person is going to be non-judgmental, of course, and the advice which is going to come, that would be anyway a gentle approach. So we need to, our bodies are going through so much. We don't need a lot of so-called unsolicited advices or so-called negative feedbacks or something. We need gentle advice.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we talked a lot about accepting and being mentally prepared. We've talked a lot about having support. So the next thing I want to talk a little bit more about was your second bit of advice about a mindful pregnancy, and it was to stay educated and invest in your pregnancy and postpartum education. So for us here in the UK, there is a big awareness of NCT, which I believe is the National Children's Trust, that run an antenatal course, and there's lots of private antenatal courses as well. I did a podcast with Claire from the Birth and Baby Company, and we talked about antenatal courses, but in particular birth plans, and very swayed towards hypnobirthing, or awareness of hypnobirthing. And on the podcast, I've also had my own hypnobirthing trainer or teacher, coach, Kaz, who's also amazing. But what other education should we invest our time into?
Yeah. So I think hypnobirthing, VBAC, all of this is very, very important, and they're amazing. So I think the first, primary education and the primary information is that you need to be there. You need to be person, you need to be a person when you can educate a pregnant lady in terms of how is her 9 months going on. Because hypnobirthing is something that comes at the time of birth. The birthing classes are very, very important. And one thing I just want to mention about the birthing classes, it's never going to be black and white. No matter how much we try, no matter how much we invest in the birthing classes, child, it's for us, for like to birth with confidence. But your child knows how he or she wants to come into this life. So we're really educated. We need to be aware, but there comes a point when we need to surrender it to the higher self, so because our child knows the best for him or her. So we need to really believe in that. But I feel, the mindfulness should come through all these 9 months. So I've seen a lot of people, even I do the labor coaching and the birth plan classes, but I see a lot of people, they want that, okay, just give us this, just teach us that what exercises do we want to do, and we'll do it just in the last month of pregnancy, and we'll want to have a normal vaginal birth, So it doesn't happen like that. You need to be there on the terms for the entire 9 months. If you're doing like some specific exercises, you can't really prepare your pelvic floor, pelvic muscles right in 1 week, or maybe doing just 5-6 exercises right at the, some 5-6 days. You need to be there with your body, with your pelvic floor, with your each and every muscle. You need to tone every part of the body, and then how you need to prepare for a birth, vaginal, cesarean, or whichever, So everything goes throughout these 9 months. The preparation, the mental preparation is the key. And that should be there for the entire 9 months. I think no doctor, no coach, no mentor can prepare you in just 2-3 days. This should come gradually throughout the 9 months. So it's very, very important.
I love that. You're talking my language now when you're talking about preparing the body exercise wise, because I have just launched my training for labor strength and conditioning program. So it is a lot around mindset of why you're exercising. It's not for, for many people, they exercise, some to keep healthy, some are going towards a goal, like running faster or getting fit. Others want to look better. But in pregnancy, we have to change our mindset around why we're doing our exercise, the benefits for us, the benefits for our baby, and the benefit for our body to go through the endurance event of labor. So I love that you're chatting about that. That was not planned, everybody, but that was definitely really good. We're on the same track there. So for me, during and in fact, in my course that I've just done as well, section 2 is about mindset related.
Yeah, mindset is the key. Be it in pregnancy, in labor, breastfeeding, or even in postpartum. It's all about our mind. If we learn how to control and how to, I won't say control, so maybe control is a little rude word. If we learn how to be there with our mind, how to be kind to our mind, I think we are sorted.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're definitely going to get you on for series 2, which is the postpartum journey. I'm in there now, and I'm having a love-hate relationship with my little Evie in this postpartum journey we're having. But anyway, that's for another podcast. Okay, before I give you my ending questions, which I love hearing everybody's answers, let's talk about, beside your Instagram, the Doctor Who coaches, all the information you give there, how can other people reach out for support from you? What can you help them with?
Yeah, so I have a couple of programs. I have a program for the birth process. It's like birth with confidence, where I teach you that how do you prepare mentally, what exercises are supposed to be done, how to actually train yourself for labor, and all of that. So that's my birth with confidence program, which I mostly prefer doing somewhere around after 32-33 weeks, because you need a window of time to prepare yourself with. I have a breastfeeding class, because I think breastfeeding is something which a mother needs to train herself. It's not only beneficial for your baby, but it's beneficial for you as a mother. A lot of people think that we are breastfeeding because that's important for the baby. But I want to tell everybody out there that breastfeeding is something that you are doing for you as a mother, because breastfeeding, mother has less stress. Your uterus goes back to its own size very nicely, and in fact, in a less time. Your body goes back to shape and in a very nice way. And there are a lot of researchers that say that postpartum phase is relatively very easy for women breastfeeding her baby. So there will a lot of positive effects for the mother as it is.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that actually, because 2 things. First of all, as a second-time mum, I have learned even more about breastfeeding this time than I did my first. And you don't know what you don't know. And actually, I feel like in my second pregnancy, I maybe should have done it, like had some support and done a bit more research around breastfeeding, even though I did very successfully with my first baby for 14 months. But she was quite an easy baby and no dramas. So I feel like I really took it for granted. And I think if you're a first time mum out there, try to definitely educate yourself around breastfeeding and how you will feel as well, and not just the baby, like you said. But I am going to add a bit of controversy into what you said about the postpartum body. In both pregnancies, I personally, and I know there's a lot of research out there, and actually I'm digging a little bit deeper in there because I'm prepping for our series 2 on postpartum, and I'm doing a podcast on this, which is weight loss struggles while breastfeeding. And you would know from a scientific and doctor perspective is some women, they do struggle to lose weight during their postpartum journey, especially when they're breastfeeding. And this has been me on both of my journeys. The minute I stop breastfeeding, my body composition changes almost dramatically. But during the process, I have I'm not sure scientifically, and this is where you might be able to jump in, but my hormones definitely, lack of sleep obviously is a massive issue, but my cortisol levels are still really high, and I feel like my body does not want me to starve my baby.
Yes, what you're saying is correct, because that's what I said. Having said that, what you're saying, I would say that I buy most of your points. But then again, the role of education, the role of right mentoring comes into a picture. Let me be very, very real with this, that, no pregnancy is same. I always tell my clients that you cannot be pregnant with the same baby again. You can be mother for the first time, second time, third time, but with this baby, you are going to be the mother just once. So similarly, since every pregnancy is different, so even the struggles, the emotions, and the positive aspects, that the challenges, again, they're all very, very different. So that's where the support of a breastfeeding consultant comes into picture. I know breastfeeding is not easy. I never said that it is going to be easy, but with practice, with the right kind of attitude, and if you have support. So I have clients. So I have a client recently, she had a cesarean section and she birthed through an IVF. She is somewhere around 40 years of age. And she came to me after around 10 days, 10 days after her cesarean section, and she was finding it difficult to breastfeed. And now, let me tell you, after cesarean section, with the fact that she has an IVF, it doesn't matter. All these things doesn't matter. What matters is your mindset, because breastfeeding is again a source of the hormone production. The prolactin is produced, the oxytocin is produced right from your brain. If you're trained in it, you can do that. I'm not saying that there'll be no struggles and it's going to be a smooth ride. No, this might not be a smooth ride for some people, for some mothers, but with right knowledge, with right kind of support. There are times when I ask my clients that, oh, you are breastfeeding? Do one thing, make a video while you're breastfeeding your baby and send me across. So I will correct you right there and then with the positions, with the type of latch, with the kind of music you're going to play, with the kind of affirmations you're going to do every time you're breastfeeding your baby. Because all of these things matter. We say that, see, I'm a firm believer of law of attraction, I totally believe in it. So I feel that positivity is something we need to have in every aspect. I feel beautifully in breastfeeding. So with my breastfeeding workshop, I give them a set of affirmations. I give them a set of meditation. They used to, I want them to plug their headphones and listen to that music, listen to that meditation, and then breastfeed their baby. Have a sort of maybe munch onto something, some jaggery or maybe some sweet or something like that. Not too sweet, but then latch your baby, hold your baby close, and then have the skin to skin contact with your baby. We call it kangaroo mother care. Do all of it. And if you're doing your breastfeeding, don't find it that, oh, I'm doing it because I have to do it. My doctor has asked me to do it. No, it's fine. You do it and you even take care of your own body. It's not like that the mother, we always say it is the best thing, but the top feed is not a poison. You need to be very, very clear about it, that if you're finding it really hard and really you're struggling with a lot of things, please use the breastfeeding till you can, and then experiment with the top feed. Add both of those things. It's fine. The nourishment you're giving through breastfeeding, all the nutrients are going. Or maybe have your partner at night if you have that struggling sleep problem, because child is going to get up every 2 hours initially. So you breastfeed, you give your baby to your partner, he'll be there to burp, and you sleep, take the nap. So it's, again, I always say that it's mothering. It's not just mothering, it's parenting. Again, 50-50. So you can have that support person in your partner or in your mother, or maybe you can have some help, to be there with you. So I have breastfed my baby exclusively for 6 months. My baby is 2.5 right now. And occasionally I'm still doing it, because even the World Health Organization says it's okay and it's great if you breastfeed the baby till 2.5 years. So for me, it was very difficult for me. I had a cesarean section because I had a bit of complications. So I think it all depends on how we take it as. And again, breastfeeding with the top feed makes a great combination. But try to exclusively breastfeed still. This should be a priority, but you should be a priority first. Your mental health, your body as a mother, because if you are keeping yourself happy as a mother, your child will automatically be happy. So don't take it as a responsibility, or don't take it as a challenge that, oh, I need to do it. Be really kind and be really nice to yourself first. And then comes everything else.
Yeah, absolutely. I have spoken to many women who felt that the stress of needing to breastfeed because they know all the benefits, actually all of that stress built up to the point where they weren't able to breastfeed. And then, also there is a lot of women out there that just know they don't want to do that. And that is also okay. And as a society, we need to accept that, because like you've just said, it is all about the mum's mental health. A happy mum is a happy baby. And if mum is happy not breastfeeding, so be it. And if mum is stressed because she's trying desperately hard to breastfeed and she hasn't had the support that, like you said, that you are offering and many other professionals are offering, and she feels she can't do it, then that's also okay. But it's education early, isn't it? If we educate ourselves early, it is going to be a much smoother transition, because if you're trying to educate yourself in that postpartum journey, it's even more stressful.
Absolutely. That's why I always ask my clients to take the breastfeeding journey in their 9th month, in the last trimester, because they know what they want to do, and they may come back to me and have a just brief of it. I give them all the presentations so they can revise it. I give them all the meditations so they can just keep them, and they can always contact me through mails, and I'm always ready to, revert back to them. But this information, we must, get all these information, and we must, even though implementation is going to be after the baby is born, but the soiling of that very seed needs to be there during the pregnancy.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so you've got your birthing with confidence, you've got your breastfeeding support. Any other way people can use your expertise?
Yeah, so I have another program for postpartum, where I empower moms, the way we discussed right now. I help them have that, the balance between their career and their babies. Because honestly, I'll be very, very honest that I struggled with it. Being a doctor, working throughout my 9 months, I was working. So my baby was born at 2 a.m. and I was working till 7 p.m. in the emergency department. I kind of struggled with, is my career going to be okay? How do I balance my career? I need to get back to my emergency. I was working as a head of department. So is this break okay for me? So I think, especially we women, we are a multitasker, we're born with this inside and we are born with the masculine side, we can't really like the idea, and it's very, very difficult. So I personally, I have balanced it. It took me a long time. It took a lot of help. I kind of like maybe help from my seniors, from my parents. It took a lot of help. And then I came to a conclusion, and I came to, my own self that yes, I really need to balance this out, and only I can do it. I can seek help, but ultimately it's me who need to decide about it. So that's what I help the postpartum journey, that, you can always have a perfect balance, but that is only that is going to start from you. Because I always say that motivation never works. It's the information that works, the education that works, but motivation, it doesn't work. It works for a day or two, and then back to square one. And I also customize the programs for the people. If somebody wants to have my one-on-one session and want a certain genre of information, like maybe just how to connect to the baby, or maybe just the breastfeeding, or what books you should read, and how to be there as in a nutrition, and what are the safe exercises. So I kind of customize those sessions. So these are my entire program.
Amazing. I'm going to put links to them all in the show notes. And again, I highly recommend for mums and mums-to-be to check out your Instagram, the Doctor Who Coaches. All right, let's finish the podcast with my favorite 2 questions. Dr. Shubi, what advice would you give your non-mum self now that you know what you know?
So I think I would just want that girl, I would say, who was working in the ER down the line and who didn't know, how her pregnancy is going to be there. I just want to tell myself that it's okay. Don't try to be perfect. You are a doctor, that's fine. Don't try to be perfect, because this mothering journey, it's a journey. It's not a destination. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. Just go slow, be kind, and never go into that perfection zone, because I tried, but then it's all learning and unlearning together. You learn things, you unlearn things, and then you accept certain things, and then you let go certain things. That's how mothering and that's how parenting works. I would want to, tell myself deep down that please do not go and do not seek perfection. It's okay. It's okay to be raw. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to accept your flaws. It's okay to maybe give a little bit of more window of screen time to your toddler. It's okay. Just don't be.
Oh, I love that. I resonate with absolutely every bit of that. Okay, and my last question, what is your favorite thing about being a mum?
So I feel, I've always been a very, 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 very extrovert person. I've always been a career-oriented person. For me, it was my education, my career. That used to be the top priority. I would have stayed in a hospital for 24, 48 hours without even, saying anything to anyone. That was me. But then I actually realized after my son was born that this is the love I was looking for. He is my home. He is my peace. This was the kind of selfless love I never thought it kind of existed. You're tired, or you have something, you're having a bad day, and then you see your baby and everything is sorted. So I think that is the best thing. That's why I accepted the very fact that I'm going to be on a sabbatical. I took a sabbatical. I was on a sabbatical for 1 year. I stayed at home. I was with my baby, because I feel our work, everything can wait. We are working throughout our life, and we can continue to do so in future. But our kids are not going to be this small. They might go to school, they might go to college, and just right that, and they won't be there for us. So it's the time that we need to invest in our kids and be there, be around, be there, and when they start walking, when they start talking, to answer all those cuckoo questions which they ask. So we need to be there. And I think it's the mothering journey. I think that's the perfect sort of love, I think. So I just love it.
Oh, such a good way to end the podcast. So lovely. Thank you so much, Dr. Subi, for your time. It has been absolutely valuable. I hope the listeners have gotten more than one or two things from this, because we jam-packed with lots of information about your mindful pregnancy. Do drop us a message on either of our Instagrams and check out the show notes for more details. Thank you, Dr. Subi.
Thank you, Marnie. Lovely to. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the SportsFit Mums podcast. It's awesome to have you along. If you would like to join our community, follow us on at SportsFit Mums on Instagram. Alternatively, do check out the subscription notes, as you will see a link to our Ultimate Fitness in Pregnancy mini guide. From here, you'll also get some details of the up and coming release of the new Strength